Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another exciting episode of Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you. My name is VashSky. I'm going to be your host of today's illustrious ceremonies, walking down the red carpet or walking down the box office, keeping you all, not ahead of the culture curve, but really ahead of the backlot. Lou, hello there, sir.
Well, it's not that hard to get ahead of the backlot. You just go to the front lot. That's what's ahead of the backlot. Now, the side lot is a little more difficult to get to, but
that's a fair point, actually.
Anyway,
yes, that's a fair point. Well, we've had a lot of stuff actually occur in the back lot, the front lot, the side lot, the box office,
the sand lot,
right? The sand lot. Yes, and I don't mean to start the show off with a downer, but we have to acknowledge it. Unfortunately, yesterday, word came out that the famous Diane Keaton actually passed away, and it was sad for a lot of reasons. But she had been doing work since the 1970s. I believe she was in The Godfather. Is that right, Lou?
Oh yeah, of course. She was Michael's wife.
Yes, and I forget that she was in that because her persona, at least to my generation, what were the kind of rom-coms that she starred in. And she really brought a lot of light and humor to those.
I would say that The Godfather is the most straight-ahead, serious, dramatic role she ever had. And frankly, for people to hire her for those kind of wacky, offbeat comedies after that was a leap of faith for somebody. But well taken. So,
yes, it was just really, really sad because I had known her. Like I said, from a bunch of rom-coms. Oh, what was it? I think it was Father of the Bride.
Annie Hall, of course.
Annie Hall, yeah. You had, what was that movie when she was playing the love interest to Jack Nicholson? Oh, what am I talking about? Anywho's.
I'll just let you struggle. That's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Lou. Do appreciate it. Fantastic stuff right there. And she also played Finding Dory, Dory's mom, I believe.
The voice
Jenny. Of. Yes, the voice of. So she was definitely a part of the lives of many people, at least in my generation, at least like the kids who would see these rom-coms or see these animated films and so forth. It's just really sad to have lost her. And
well, we all got to go sooner or later, and she certainly leaves behind a body of work that will, I believe, stand the test of time. I think you can watch those movies in 5 years, and 10 years, and 20 years, and still be entertained not just by the films, but by her performance.
I think so. And, I believe 79. Very, very sad, but something's got to give. There we go. I couldn't remember it for a second. I most know her from that, and she was a lot of fun. So, very sad times.
If I waited long enough, I knew that something had to give in your memory, and so anyway.
Thanks,
anyway.
Thank you. May she rest in peace. Unfortunately, a lot of celebrities passing away this year. Obviously, Hulk Hogan, Ozzy Osbourne, and now Diane Keaton. So. No,
boy, there's a triumvirate to reckon with.
Yes, indeed. Well, speaking of triumvirates, Lou, sorry, this
somehow
is
they never did Chekhov. What a shame. The three of them in some classic play would have been interesting. Anyway,
yep.
I was sitting there looking at your thumbnail with her on one side and this awful new TRON movie on the other, and thinking. That personifies the expression from the ridiculous to the sublime, from left to right.
Yes, indeed. Well, I really wanted to give Diane her due, but also too, you had to make an attractive thumbnail that catches your attention and so forth. So it's a tough thing. Jan Monroe, Diane Keaton was unique because she could do it all, the high drama and the high comedy. Yes, I do agree with that. She could really pull it off quite well, and she really made you believe in the characters that she portrayed.
Supposedly, Spencer Tracy's advice on acting was, it's a great business as long as nobody catches you doing it. And I think she was very good at having nobody catch her do it. She never gave a line that felt like she was reading a line. It always seemed spontaneous and coming from the character, and that's not something everybody can do. So good for her. Anyway,
great for her, and the Annie Hall look, she definitely made it her own, and great Woody Allen film. Oh, something really
talk
really
about
something.
A fashion trend. My God, those big brimmed hats and the vests and the floppy blouses, and
she's ahead of the curve.
Like yeah.
You speak about triumvirates, Lou. I guess we have to get into it now. The triumvirate that is the TRON series. So this is really interesting because
a triumvirate without a triumph. Did you call it?
Yes.
So that just makes a verret, or an invertebrate, as the case may be.
This is truer than anybody knows right here. Yes, TRON. Oh, TRON. Oh, it's always the franchise that will always be but never was.
Like you and I were discussing before we started, I never thought the original was that brilliant. It was mostly noted for the great advances it made in graphic technology. But then you look at a movie that much predated it, The Last Starfighter, which was the first one with no models and all generated spaceships and things, done on a Cray supercomputer, no less. And that movie still holds up, both the graphics, but also the plot and the acting and the music, certainly. TRON, not so much. My opinion.
Yeah. I do agree with you. I think Last Starfighter, there's a charm to it, and there's definitely a story to it, and it's a certain time.
Do we still have arcades?
Yeah. Yep.
Just not like they were, not like every mall and every. I mean, I always found it, just personally, stupid when Disneyland put an arcade in the Starcade in Tomorrowland. And I thought, you pay whatever you were paying back then, not the couple $100 you pay now, to go to a theme park to play at an arcade that has the same games, basically, maybe with a little bit of window dressing, that are at your local mall. I couldn't see it, but that's just me.
Yeah. Arcades at Disneyland was always a strange choice. I think there were like several, which was kind of always weird. I think there was one in Critter Country, or at that time Bear Country, and so forth.
Yeah, a little bitty one, yeah. And then of course at the hotel in that sunken thing in the middle of the marina there.
Yes. And above the Starcade, well, I guess adjacent to it, would be the TRON tunnel that the People Mover used to pass through.
Right. The speed tunnel or something.
The speed tunnel. And wasn't that something? I think it used some of the same technology that TRON definitely pioneered. And so you have to understand, folks, there was no such thing as CGI back in the day, or at least not to the extent that TRON used it.
It was fancy wireframes, that's all. And
Right. And there was no rendering, so some of these things had to be done by hand. You're talking about. I was reading up on this, and apparently one of the film techniques actually used was like putting the camera lens up to the monitor in order to render stuff out, but then you have to layer it on to the actual footage that you actually shot. It was a very laborious process. It was a lot of work to bring this to the screen, and so you have essentially Steven Lisberger teaming up with Bonnie McBird to bring this to life. Bonnie being the first writer on this, Steven being much more of a techie. He gets inspired by Pong, and it's like, ooh, let's go ahead and base a movie around that. Let's use some digital imagery and matched up with live action and so forth. I think at first Steven wants to do like an animated film, but then obviously it becomes a live action production. So they shop this around for a while, and Disney finally, takes him up on it. Goes, okay, let's go ahead and bring this to the screen. And the idea being, I think it was Ron Miller, and at that time, and it was like we're not really producing things that are very successful, especially post Walt and everything like this. They did Black Hole. That was a huge,
black hole.
Yes, a black hole indeed. Just a huge box office failure.
Although I would suggest, in retrospect, it's a better movie than it was when it came out.
Yeah, maybe.
Not a great, but certainly better than it felt when it first came out. So
Disney
all
really.
of this is all just born out of post-apocalypse computer paranoia stuff, which we are now living with AI, right? So it was ahead of its time in that sense. On the other hand, it took how many years to finally build an attraction in China, and then another 6, which is, let's face it, TRON is very hard to say in Chinese if English.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But then they took 6 years to copy it here, and it doesn't work. Oh well. Let's put it this way: those lights that are illuminating them in the film are more reliable than the ones in the queue areas at the attraction, right?
That's very true, actually. Yes, it's very true. The ones that you see in the film in the original 1982 Tron were all done by hand in order to make them glow and so forth. This is why the effect is very inconsistent. Sometimes you see the characters and the glow is brighter than at other times because it's.
Well, I feel that way some days, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. They would have to. I mean, Lou, it was the animation involved here was a mixture of like 2D animation or traditional animation styles onto these kind of cells that were then scanned in, and I can't tell you just the kind of Scotch tape and bubblegum kind of operation this actually was. And there's a reason why no other film looks like this, because even Disney was like, this is unbelievably expensive. It was one of the most expensive movies at that point with the amount of post-production work. And apparently, Steven Lisberger actually went to Disney to use some of their animators for this, and none of the animators wanted anything to do with this. But one animator did see this film and was inspired. We'll get back to that in just a moment. But this film right here, it's I don't want to say it's a box office bomb, but
go ahead, say it.
Well, that wouldn't necessarily be accurate. Well, it didn't make the money nearly that Disney wanted, but it wasn't also a huge disaster either. It was kind of somewhere in the middle.
Oh wait, I thought you were talking about the new one.
Not the new one. Yeah, the new one. We'll get to that in just a moment. But this one, it was okay. But for the amount of effort,
they looked like calipers. Those were really weird. Those kind of angle bracket things.
Yes. There's a lot of weird stuff in this, but everybody gave it their best. Again, Ron Miller and some of the executive leadership at the time, they wanted a Star Wars. That's what they were really searching for the last 5 years.
They and everybody else.
Exactly. And they just never got there. They were producing Herbie the Love Bug and a couple of other live action and animated movies, but none of them were all that successful.
One of the reasons, if they'd only done Herbie the Love Tron, maybe.
Yes, yeah. Well, one of the reasons why this doesn't make much money at the box office is because I guess Card Walker, who was the CEO at the time, was like, okay, Don Bluth is making The Secret of Nim, so we want to go ahead and rush this out in order to get ahead of that film.
Your dim Nim, yes.
But this is at the same time. This is 1982. Think about the summer of 1982, folks. You got E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Blade Runner, and Poltergeist, all in this window in which they released this film, and it just gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, rightly so.
rightfully so, indeed. So Tron 1982 doesn't work out. It's put on ice. There were plenty of plans for a sequel, a franchise, all of that. Remember the Tron Speed Tunnel? They thought this was going to be the next big thing. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Now, there is a animator who was very inspired by what Tron brought to the table, and that was John Lasseter. John Lasseter would then say, okay, hey, let's go ahead and use this 3D technology to enhance our animated films. So he puts together this, and I wish I had screenshots of it, but he puts together this short, this kind of test footage, and you have a very moving, not a static camera, but a camera that is actually tracking the animated character on screen. Very revolutionary at the time. And he puts this forward to the Disney executive leadership, and they're like, "We've never seen anything like this. We don't even know what to do with this." Eventually, they end up canning John Lasseter, which is super unfortunate. He takes those ideas, he takes those kind of visual elements, and eventually goes over to George Lucas, ILM, Pixar, and that's what really establishes that kind of offshoot from really the inspiration being Tron. And well, we all know this incredible success that Pixar has after that. Now, 1982, so what is it? It is 25 years later or so. This is when you get the ideas for Tron Legacy. And Tron Legacy is, the anticipation's never been higher. So Joseph Krasinski, which you're going to know, folks, Joseph Krasinski being the guy who directs Oblivion, but also Top Gun Maverick, this year's F1, the movie. This is his real first large-scale directed film. And they sink a lot of money into it. I think it was in excess of $130 million, if I'm not mistaken. But this was the most expensive film ever greenlit for basically a green director at that time. And there's a lot of anticipation for it.
170 million.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Way higher.
I just went and looked. Yeah.
Okay. So my bad. I put together a lot of notes right here.
You know what must have a kind of a good news, bad news aspect to it?
Sure.
When you make a movie based around spectacular visuals, and you win the Academy Award for Best Sound Editing.
Yes, indeed. And that's another thing about Tron 1982. The Academy did not recognize Tron for its visual effects because apparently they felt that using computer-generated imagery was cheating. So it's like, you had the most revolutionary film ever, utilizing techniques that were one of a kind, never to be repeated again, but also paved the way for 3D effects work to be used in films going forward, and the Academy doesn't recognize it. Ridiculous. Anyway, Disney is still seeking a major hit franchise in the live action space. And they had Pirates of the Caribbean at this time, but obviously that was winding down. They need a new one. This is 2 years before the Avengers. This is when this production was greenlit. This is before they actually buy Marvel. They're looking for something big, and this is the next big thing. Lou, I remember when this was being produced and right about to come out. Internally, remember, Avatar comes out in 2009. They think this is their Avatar. That's how much was put on the back of Tron Legacy back in 2010 when it came out. Yes. Oops is right. So it does do a moderate success at the box office, about $409 million, but not nearly as profitable as anybody was hoping for or expecting. But they put so much into this. And you can tell that this was a labor of love. Joseph Krasinski has an incredible style. You can see all that here. By the way, Cillian Murphy shows up in a cameo in this movie. But the visual effects work when you actually get into the career.
Then for that to have been considered a cameo?
I
don't think so. See,
I don't think so. You could definitely tell that that Joseph Krasinski for Tron Legacy is inspired by Batman Begins back in 2005. It has that vibe to it, at least the live action sequences do. And so I think Cillian Murphy being in here is actually appropriate.
Yeah, okay.
But the promotion for this was out of this world. We'll get into that in just a moment. But the world in which is created here is far better than anything that anybody could have dreamt of in 1982. They really fleshed out this world, came up with a unique aesthetic that I think actually holds up quite well. upon rewatch, actually. And the costumes, Lou. Guess how much the costumes were for this film?
Don't have any idea.
They were $13 million. They were unbelievably expensive. And why? Because they all lit up. So when you actually see their costumes shown on the film, you can see that the LEDs.
In other words, it's not animated in afterwards. It's actually being generated by the plates of the costume. Okay,
correct. And LED technology.
The Energizer to be a sponsor for the batteries.
Yes, yes. I think they went with Duracell, but yes, that's true.
Product placement,
And they had issues, Lou, where they would have to, the actors, when they were suited, they basically had to stay in them the entire time, and they couldn't sit down because they were so fragile. The battery packs that they actually had to be switched out every once in a while, so that was kind of a problem. This is kind of really archaic, early LED technology, and but
could you power wash it, and would it still work?
Oh, I don't think so. No, they knew not to power wash them here, Lou. That's the difference. But you really do see it's a digital world, but it is also very tactile at the same time. The set pieces are actually quite big, even though obviously there's a lot of CGI being used. Filmed in, I believe it was filmed with IMAX cameras. Very impressive display when you actually saw it on screen. And then you have the incredible Daft Punk soundtrack, which is still to this day one of the best soundtracks for any film ever, Disney or otherwise. I'll put my hat on that one.
Best film ever?
One of the best soundtracks ever. Lou, if you haven't listened to it, you got to.
It's good, but when I think of people like Bernard Herrmann and Dmitri Tiomkin and Max Steiner and Wolfgang Korngold and Jerry Goldsmith and John Williams, this just doesn't show up in that list somehow. But anyway, that's just.
I suppose I get it. I get it. Obviously, there are some amazing soundtracks out there.
Anyway.
But
let's get on to the current debacle.
With Daft Punk's amazing score right there, awesome stuff. Anyway, this film comes out, not the highest reviews. Is a visual spectacle for sure, but doesn't captivate audiences. Even reviewers even said at the time, they were like, well, this could hurt your eyes if you watch it on the big screen or something like that. Anyway, it just doesn't do the business. But they do electronica in the parks. I remember going to electronica. I remember seeing the dress up scene there in the Muppets Theater, which was very interesting. But it was a heck of a production because they had lights, moving sound. They had Laser Man outside. It was great. Unfortunately, it didn't turn into the franchise that they wanted to again. And so that brings us all the way 15 years later to Tron Ares. And, well, let's go ahead and take a look at Tron Ares and how people are reacting to it this time. Audiences have spoken. Number one, after the Morbius debacle, all Jared Leto dreamed for Tron Ares was a better reception among moviegoers, and he kind of made it, receiving a B+ cinema score. Okay for sci-fi, on par with previous Tron installments like Legacy. And you can kind of see what they are comparing them to, and the B+ is not so great.
All I know is I will commend people to look at both Pro's review and Paul Chatto's review, and well, there's a headline.
Yeah, from the Telegraph. This is shared by Valiant Renegade. Tron Ares is so bad it makes you wish AI would hurry up and destroy Hollywood.
Tilly
not
Norwood
good
isn't
at all.
In this one?
No, Tilly Norwood is not in Tron Ares,
shame.
from what I understand. For sure.
It just occurred to me. That will be the new measure of how bad a movie is, when AI doesn't use a movie to train its AI bots.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Tron Ares is a great movie to take a nap to. The soundtrack is, it's good, and the visuals are incredible. The movie just doesn't get over the hump of me caring about anything plot-wise in the story. It's mid, and you walk away from the theater instantly forgetting anything this movie was about. Probably never watching this movie again, honestly. 2.5 out of 5. I saw this a lot it definitely has its fans. Not to say that it doesn't. I know Eddie Soto, famous Imagineer, he was raving about it, and a lot of people have been enthralled with the visuals on display. And the soundtrack by Nine Inch Nails, now that Daft Punk is no longer a thing. Again, Tron Ares doesn't feature basically any of the cast from Tron Legacy. I don't even think it carries a lot of the story points from Tron Legacy that they set up. So it's like a completely new story, although it does take what Tron Legacy did, which was bring a digital person in the real world and plays with that idea. So you do have Jeff Bridges, but you don't have Garrick Hedlund or Olivia Wilde or Brooks Boxleiter, which is really interesting because that is Tron, and Tron's not in this movie. Very strange, very bizarre. Audiences, they were not too kind when it came to this. It might be Morbin time again for Jared Leto at the U.S. box office, as PG-13 sci-fi threequel Tron Ares is now poised to underperform industry projections after grossing $14.3 million on Friday opening day, including 4.8 with Thursday previews coming under Tron Legacy's 17.5. Remember, Tron Legacy comes out in 2010. So the fact that it could
add inflation to that number,
right,
it really gets beaten up.
Right, and Morbius is seen as one of the worst box office disasters of all time, and that outperformed the opening day, eyeing a $35 to $38 million 3-day opening weekend.
And of course, with all of these movies, the question is not what happens opening day; it's what happens opening weekend next week.
Correct.
If next week is the beginning, the end all, and that's it, goodbye, then it's a flop.
Yes, Tron Ares underperforms and earns only $60 million on its global box office opening weekend. They had this at around 80 to 90 million, Lou. And it was 60. Budget was 180. We're thinking that this is 200, by the way.
I've come to the conclusion most of these projections and predictions are all politically affected by the studios too. So, although why they'd want to set themselves up to find out, no. There's a line there between, does the projection of it being big encourage people to go, or does it just set you up to fail? So
exactly, yeah. And Real Life Fake Wizard actually comes in here, and he redirected his audience to us. Well, thank you, Real Life Fake Wizard. Very much appreciate that. That's awesome. That's super cool. Well,
he saw there was a guy with a beard in this movie, and he thought, I better get involved with that.
Better get involved. And apparently, not a Tron Ares fan right here. Real Life Fake Wizard says Tron Ares was depressingly terrible. I have heard. But it gets worse for Tron. Overseas, it's also Morbin time reloaded for Jared Leto, as Tron Ares comes in way below his industry expectations. This by Luis Fernando, with a 27 million 5-day opening over 50 international markets versus Morbius's 44, Tron Legacy's 23. Allied to its $33 million 3-day debut at the U.S. box office, the Tron threequel with a $180 million production price tag, I'm thinking this is 200, not including marketing, reaches a 60.5 global opening, way below
now let's postulate together, shall we?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We know that the attraction exists in China.
Yes.
And we know that it opened more recently than the two previous movies, which probably never even got screened in China, because before, in those dark days, our movies didn't get there, period. So the question becomes, will people's familiarity with the general plot of what Tron is about from going to the ride help or hurt the movie if and when it is released in China?
I don't think it's going to help at all.
I don't think either. And it's just... they made a movie from the ride. You know, they don't know about the other two, or if they do, it's intellectual, not visceral. So
yes. So let's talk about that for a second, because I think that's very interesting. The Tron Light Cycle Power Run, I believe it's what it's named in Shanghai Disneyland,
which was developed because the Chinese don't like fast, scary roller coasters.
Correct.
Right?
Yes. That's that. You're 100% correct in that. The reason why it was chosen at all is because it really was adapted from an idea that had been brewing since Tron Legacy was released. But remember, Tron Legacy comes out in 2010. Shanghai doesn't open until 2016.
Right.
They need something that, like you said, Lou, has an outdoor portion that showcases this is a roller coaster. Because what they found with Hong Kong Disneyland, utilizing like Space Mountain, for instance, where you had extended.
People couldn't see it; they were afraid to try it.
Well, no, it's the opposite, Lou. People couldn't see it, so they didn't know what it was, and so you'd have like a grandmother getting into something like Space Mountain, not understanding that this was a fast, thrilling coaster, and then all havoc would ensue. So what they wanted with Shanghai was they wanted this kind of sweeping architectural feature that showed everybody as you were walking up, this is what this experience is, and then the rest inside. All of that adapted from obviously a concept for a Tron Legacy roller coaster that I think was originally inspired when the movie was in production. Anyway, that's where you get Tron Light Cycle Power Run for Shanghai. It's a very successful concept, very fun ride. Although short, JPEG's like, look, we want more attractions at Walt Disney World. We don't want to pay this huge development cycle. Let's just adapt Tron Light Cycle Power Run for Magic Kingdom, and that way we don't have to do any developmental work. We just plop it in there, basically.
And then they foolishly, during the shutdown for the virus, stop. Thinking, well, we're not going to have revenue right away. Why spend the money building? Not understanding, as they should have, that the materials and the costs are all going to go way up afterwards because of shortages. It probably wound up costing, what, 30, 40, 50% more than it would have if they'd have just finished and let it sit there?
Yeah, I think so. And even Comcast recognized that was a bad idea or a bad strategy for Epic Universe. When asked, Comcast executives were very much like, hey, if we were to do it over again, we would have actually continued the construction of Epic Universe rather than pausing it the way we did during COVID.
Yeah.
So you have one company acknowledging that is a failure. I'm sure internally.
That's because
Disney
it's a
would too.
company that actually admits it ever makes mistakes.
Correct. That's a very good
unlike a
point.
certain mouse.
It's a very, very good point. And so Tron Light Cycle Run at Magic Kingdom opens in 2023. And that's 13 years after Legacy. Now, Legacy was supposed to get a sequel much earlier. And there was actually a short produced, I think it was Flynn Lives, that kind of hyped a new sequel coming. All the original cast was going to come back, at least from Legacy, and put something on. Unfortunately, it just kept getting sidelined. You had, think about what happens after Tron Legacy actually comes out.
Well,
2010. 2012.
What we've got now is the end result. Maybe it wasn't so unfortunate. Maybe they should have quit while they were ahead.
That's a fair point. But that's the problem, Lou, is that how do you get people back in here 15 years after the previous iteration without any of the cast, without any of the great music?
You make something so good it doesn't matter, is how.
Yeah, well, that's true.
They missed that lesson in film school that day. They were off.
They sure did, absolutely.
They were off campus that day partying somewhere.
I guess a lot of from what I have heard, I guess a lot of the callbacks to Tron Legacy and the original Tron came from Jared Leto himself, which is a huge fan, which is great, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily make a good movie. And so when you don't have any of the connective tissue to Legacy, it's like, well, how can you even bring people in here? Remember, when Tron Legacy opens, it's 2010, underperforms. Then 2012, Avengers opens. It's a huge, biggest thing ever. And so a lot of the company's resources go towards other projects like Marvel. They acquire Star Wars, I believe, in 2012 as well. That all kicks off The Force Awakens and all of that. So as the company is shifting around its resources, shifting around its talent, it's like, where does Tron fit in? It really doesn't. And there was a point, Lou, where they were actually going to go forward with the Tron threequel, I guess, or the successor to Legacy with the original cast, everything back. But I believe it was superseded by, I think it was the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean film. And so that movie got approved. Then, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, they go off. And remember the whole dog controversy, that whole thing?
Yeah, everybody got kind of grumpy about that one. But
yes, so that's what kind of, shifts that in that direction. Anyway, it could never be. Daft Punk eventually disbands, and they're no longer a band anymore. And so coming back 15 years later, it's just too late. It's just too late, and that's why you have an underperformance like $60 million at
Well,
the global box office on opening weekend.
wait. Saying that because it's too late is the reason. No, the reason is it sucks.
Yes.
I mean, if you came back, quote, too late with a really great movie, it wouldn't matter what came before because it would be so great it would supersede anything that came before.
I guess the reason why I'm saying it's too late is because the people who could have made it great were gone. Joseph Kosinski, he's off, doing Top Gun.
But that doesn't mean there isn't somebody that could have made it great. It means they picked the wrong somebody.
Well, does the talent pool dry up in that time?
No. There are talented people. There are lots of talented people, not, proven by great success.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also mediocrity out there, and mediocrity is much easier to manipulate if you're a studio that likes to manipulate. And so, I mean, I'll let you draw your own conclusions about that. Right. All I'm saying is the only thing working against this is not that it's 15 years later. It's that it's 15 years later and it sucks.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
So, if it was great, people would say, who cares about before? This is a great movie.
And to your point, Lou, I have heard that it's like, okay, well, Tron Ares doesn't have any connection to Tron Legacy. And it's like, I think you actually said this earlier. That's fine as long as it's a good film, as long as it's a good movie, as long as it brings something new to the table that people get excited for. And from the reviews that I've seen, Tron Ares fails to do that. It fails to have its own unique identity with a compelling story and compelling characters. So,
from what I understand, the person who actually solves the problem and saves the day is totally an outside character who's in the movie for 15 minutes.
Really?
So, I mean, I haven't seen it, but that's what Pro said, and that's what Paul said. And
yeah,
that's probably not a good, somebody should say, excuse me, what does God need with a starship? There's basic questions you have to ask when you're looking at these things.
Right.
But the answer, but we got all these neat effects, is not an answer.
It's not an answer. No, you need something more.
Now, if you want to apply it's too late after, if Legacy A had been a huge hit too, and this had come out 5 years later, then it's a little weaker, but we've got the ongoing momentum from that. But if you haven't got that either, then you're hit with a double whammy if it's not a good movie, and apparently it's not.
Yeah, apparently it's not.
Anyway, I'm bored.
Well, apparently a lot of people are with this franchise as well.
Just farting around and spending money that isn't theirs, and I'm glad to see them fail. I mean, I'm not happy for the people involved, but I'm glad for people who don't know the basic rules of you got to have characters people care about and a story people want to identify with, and good guys that win, and all those simple little basic lessons we've only been teaching since the dawn of people standing around the cavemen at the beginning of Spaceship Earth telling stories and drawing things on walls knew more about storytelling than some of these people do.
Well, I know somebody
who's only been around that long, so
that's true. I know somebody who knows a little thing about storytelling and who provides content that is worth actually spending your money on, and that being your Patreon.
Oh, that. Well, thank you. Yes, I have begun a Patreon, folks. It's been up for a whole week as of today. And if you think my opinions on other things beyond, although there's some entertainment stuff in here too, but beyond that, on politics, on cuisine, on human nature, on what lessons you can learn from what you see in entertainment to apply to your life, regardless of what you do, you might find this genuinely useful and amusing. I will point out, however, that there are about to be 3 more. I just got started recording them, but there are now 4 regular episodes. And there is one called Episode 0 that explains who I am and where I come from. And I'm not promoting this anywhere outside of our Pro and T3PO community. But if you join for free, you only get access to that Episode 0. So if you want to see the other ones, you got to upgrade to a whole $5 a month. And I promise to make it worth your while. But I've had some good results with the paid ones, but a lot more of the free ones who maybe thought they were getting the whole shebang for that. And no, I'm sorry, you don't. So I hope those of you who join for free are intrigued enough to upgrade. And those of you who join now will just say, what the heck, I'll take a shot. Because you can always cancel, of course. How dare you? But
Don't cancel. No, we cannot cancel.
yes,
No.
we have ways of knowing where you are if you cancel, you know,
Uh-oh.
and we will send boring stuff to your link. But anyway, I wouldn't know where to find boring stuff. Yes, I would.
I guess.
But anyway, it's up, it's there. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll leave it at that. So there you go.
It's in the chat, and I believe it. Yeah, I believe it's in the description as well. So definitely go out and check out LEW'S Views here. His amazing Patreon account. I know he's got some really amazing commentary waiting for you. Definitely got to check it out. Logan, let me see here. Logan Missiak with the $2. Yeah. Did you guys like Tron Legacy? Well, go ahead, Lou. I'll go ahead and answer.
I never saw it.
You never saw Tron Legacy? No.
I felt no urge. I was so, frankly, appreciate the idea, but bored with the content with the original that I didn't feel compelled. Sorry.
It's worth seeing. The story is okay up until the second act. The second act the momentum dies down just a little bit.
It's not what you want to happen in the second act.
No, it builds back up,
somewhere.
but it needed a little bit more time to bake in the oven. And if they would have gotten the story nailed, this really could have been the next big thing.
How many times can we say that about a movie? If you get the story right, for one thing, you don't have to reshoot and reshoot and reshoot.
Right.
And secondly, if the same people who got it wrong at first are the ones in charge of the reshoot, the chances they're going to make it any better are slimmer. So there's lots of reasons for that not to be true. I got to tell you something. I just looking at all these pictures. All right, there's an occasional little splash of orange. Mm-hmm. I get bored with all the blue and black. It just lulls you at a certain point. You know, I get the idea. But it's almost like a world where people's eyes did not develop to see other colors.
It's a monochromatic world because
what is that picture? My God, is she? Is that? Is that person cross-eyed?
No. I do believe
left eye is kind of turning in. But anyway,
well, it's supposed to be a monochromatic world. It's supposed to be.
I understand
visually distinct.
That's boring.
Yeah,
for an hour and a half, 2 hours, it gets boring.
When you're in there with it, like in the IMAX and stuff, it could be a little daunting. That's true. I think
I would like to jump in for a second. Amnuk said, "Oh no, Lou will send us Disney doo-doo if we cancel." I'm sorry, Amnuk. That's not my job. That's Bob's.
Yeah, exactly.
There is not enough Disney doo-doo in the universe to replicate Bob's efforts. So
I love Kaczynski's directorial style. I really do. I think he knows how to shoot a movie. I like the characters in Tron Legacy. I actually do like Olivia Wilde quite a bit. I think she actually does pull off a great Cora. I understand she's kind of like what's this? How does this work? All that kind of stuff. But I think she pulls it off quite nicely. Jeff Bridges is great. I love the soundtrack. I love the production design. I love the look of it. Even though, yes, after extended periods of time, you kind of need a break from it. That being said, though, fantastic. But the story is what holds it back. It really does. And that's why it didn't work back then.
Usually does.
Yep. It just doesn't now. The finale, great. Intro, great. All the way until Olivia Wilde takes Flynn, I guess. Yeah, Sam Flynn, over to Kevin Flynn. It just falls off for me. Picks up a little bit with the bar scene, goes right back down, and it doesn't really pick up until the plane scene where they're trying to track down Clue. Anyway, that's my opinion on Tron Legacy. I like it, but I could have loved it if it was just a little bit better. So there you go. That's what's going on. And if you're not going to connect it to Tron Legacy, your new Tron Ares, I'm not interested. And honestly, Lou, I didn't see anybody really getting hyped for Ares out there. Did you? Did you see any advertisements?
Well, I saw all the promotional crapola from the usual suspects. But,
I see. Okay.
Pixie dusters. It's going to be a beloved, iconic movie. I hate those two words.
Ew. Not beloved and iconic.
Yeah, well,
No good.
I saw something about it. Beloved series canceled after first season. I said, I'm sorry, but you can't beloved a series in one season. You just
Yes,
can't.
that's true. Do you think, Lou, that some of these series, would it be in the studio's best interest to approve them for multiple and like stick with them no matter how bad the initial numbers are, or is there
No,
just a point where it's just like,
no, they can't justify that to their bosses.
okay,
But when we see these stories about massive job fall offs in Hollywood, when a TV series runs 8 episodes or 10 episodes and not 24, there's a lot of it all by itself,
right,
whether they succeed or fail.
right,
So, there's just less stuff being made.
less stuff being made indeed. I'm trying to get the stories that I have saved here, guys. So give me just 1 second while I bring them up on my end. There was actually a couple of Hollywood stories that I wanted to go ahead and get in with you, Lou, because
That's what I'm here for.
you have
that and the great snacks. I got to tell you, Vash, folks. So you don't know, but Vash lays out a spread like you wouldn't believe.
Do I?
What, you didn't leave this? Oh, well, okay. I mean, I know I did the bar because you wouldn't, but anyway.
Right. Good stuff for sure right there. Let me see if I can get into this. Yeah, okay. So here you go. This is a very interesting story from the Hollywood Reporter right here. Rebecca Ferguson, who I know most from the Mission Impossible franchise, is giving additional insight into her widely reported on-set clash with another movie star. When asked if she had heard from the actor since her comments, Ferguson said she hadn't, and that she didn't care. She noted that, quote, other people...
We're gonna do all that without mentioning who it was?
Yes, we are. There are some suspicions as to who she's actually talking about.
At the point where she won't say it, I don't care. It's like, what are you even talking about it for if you're not going to tell us who it is? Because it's like, look at me, I'm a bitch. Don't mess with me, honest.
That's terrible, but
that's what she's saying, isn't it?
Well, so okay. What I really wanted to jump off from this, Lou, was how do you deal with two actors or two individuals of talent, whether it be in front of the camera, behind the camera, part of the production, where they just clash, don't get along, but you need them to get along in order to facilitate the production? How do you deal with that?
Appeal to the sense of professionalism they clearly don't have.
Well, did it ever happen with you?
Look, I don't. Well, sure, but you have to remember there is a pecking order. I don't care if they're quote unquote co-stars or they share billing or somebody's making more money than the other person, and that somebody probably is going to rule the roost when it's all said and done. And people have been fired, people have been replaced for various reasons, not just that. But I was watching an interview with Chris Lloyd and the guy who plays Biff, talking about when they replaced Eric Stoltz with Michael J. Fox, and how they called him up and said, "We want you to come in." And he thought, "Oh my God." And they wouldn't tell him on the phone. And he thought, "Oh my God, I'm getting fired." What? And then when they told him what it was like this huge sigh of relief that it wasn't him. But I don't know. I hate to say this, but she's not exactly an A-list super duper star,
I very much agree with this.
Under a bus in front of an entire crew to make a point is a statement of a 12-year-old having a hissy fit. And if I were a producer of any other movie and considering her, that would be the first reason not to. Even if she was perfect for the part and a great actress and all that. It was like, I don't need any prima donnas. I've often said, and this applies to producers and writers and directors and everybody else, I have often said, and I'll say it again for those few of you who haven't heard me repeat this forever, I would have been richer, famouser, and worked a whole lot more if I'd been willing to work with jerks. Only I think I used the word a-hole when I said it originally, so let's be out there. But I wasn't. And that caused me financial and career detriment, but peace of mind like crazy. And some things are more important and some things are less. And if you don't care, but to announce to the world, yeah, I'll throw you under a bus. Is that a smooth career move? Does that make you, or does that make you one of these, blue-haired Karen types that are not exactly in favor in the world outside of your small circle of people who kiss up to you? So I think she's an idiot, is my opinion. I've never met her. I don't know what happened. I don't know who it was. But to make a statement like that to the world is basically telling the world that you don't play nice. And I'm sorry, you're not that much in demand or that good or that necessary to any production that you're worth hiring if that's your attitude, in my opinion.
I don't disagree. I think that there has to be a professionalism in order for you to facilitate the work. And
people just never know when to shut up. If they said to her, we heard there was a conflict between you, and she should have said, yeah, but that was then, and we're not talking about it. I would respect her. I still wouldn't, if I was a producer, want to know what really happened and who did it and all that. But to say, yeah, there was, and I'm proud of it because I was a total jerk. Isn't that wonderful of me? Which is what she's really saying. That says to me, great, be a total jerk with somebody else, not with me.
Very true. We do have a little bit of breaking news. We don't usually have breaking news on a Sunday, but this is too big, and we have got to talk about it. Here we go, folks. Breaking news. From originally The Wrap, as reposted by MSN, Warner Brothers Discovery rejects Paramount's initial takeover bid. This is by Josh Dickey here. Warner Brothers Discovery deflected Paramount Skydance's initial takeover approach because the pre-share price is too low, according to Bloomberg News. Paramount's initial price of around $20 per share, made in recent weeks, was not attractive to Warner Brothers Discovery. Bloomberg reported, citing people familiar with the matter, Warner Brothers Discovery stock was trading just over $17 at Friday's market close. Neither
I'm
Paramount.
Sorry, that's breaking news. Like I can't even think of a simile. Of course, the first offer is too low to the person who's selling.
Yeah,
so
that's
what?
true.
Well, what? I want more. No, you can't have more. Well, I want more. Well, I have. Well, this is just the way business works, just the way the world works.
Well,
nobody's standing in line to buy it besides them. Really, they aren't. So.
New Paramount chief David Ellison is seeking alternatives that could include increasing the share price, Bloomberg noted. He could also appeal to shareholders directly or find additional financing through a partner like asset manager Apollo Global Management, with whom Ellison has been in talks. Ellison's $8 billion merger with Skydance Media was completed in August. I'll
tell you something, Zaslav.
Sure.
Mr. DC telling the world how he has no supervision and gets to do whatever he wants and being a jerk about it isn't exactly boosting your stock higher.
That's a fair point. That's true. There is some there to deal with Zaslav specifically. There's some word around Hollywood that James Gunn and DC and everything like that. Apparently, Zaslav might be dissatisfied, and might in the event of an acquisition. The
event of acquisition, Zaslav's got nothing to say.
Right, exactly, and that's true. And that, I guess, if the DC brand was taken over by somebody else through acquisition, that they would just find somebody else other than James Gunn.
Oh, of course they would, but I would feel better about that rumor if Ellison was acting faster on getting rid of the Star Trek morons.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point.
He's a little slow on the uptake on some of this stuff.
Well, he had to figure out the CBS News deal.
Yeah, right. Okay, fine. But now it's like...
Yeah, what are you going to do with creatives?
Yeah.
It's a fair point.
Look, these are huge companies with their fingers in many pies, and they have been managed by money guys. And money guys are not creative guys. And money guys, the great line that actually Lionel Chetwynd, wonderful writer, wrote for our DGA president when we went on strike for 20 minutes a million years ago. He said what these major corporations like Sony and Cap Cities and the rest of them don't understand is that unlike other industries, in the movie business, the capital equipment goes home every night.
Yeah. I love that story, by the way, because you have to
about the people, and
correct.
If you put the wrong people in charge and let them run wild and have them proud of the fact, talking to the world, say, hey, nobody tells me what to do. Well, you've got a boss, and if they're not telling you what to do, they're a bad boss. And if they are telling you and you're ignoring it anyway, you're a bad employee. So there's
think about Walt Disney. He never talked about franchises, never talked about assets, never talked about anything that he had. The thing that he talked about most and what separated Disney apart was its people. He talked about that all the time. And so when you get the wrong people, well, you get the wrong products. Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav, this is from Bloomberg actually, believes that he can get a hefty premium for streaming and studios businesses once they've separated from the debt-laden cable networks. Bloomberg News previously reported. To clinch the deal, Ellison will have to convince him that he isn't leaving money on the table by selling before that happens. So there you go.
Well, Zaslav has to answer to his current stockholders regardless of what happens in the future. So there is that.
That's a fair point. The Wild Man of Yavin. Let's go ahead and put him up on the screen right now with the $20. Thank you so much, Wild Man. Very much appreciate it. Lou just said the $1 million question. People don't know when to STFU. You can look that up, folks. 100% to that, Lou. 07 Vash 07. Oh, I salute. Thank you. Very much appreciate that.
07. Okay. Not 007.
Yeah, not 007. I read that out. It's a salute. I very much appreciate that, Wild Man. People just don't know when to stop.
Oh, they sure don't. Well, the previous story too, same thing. She should have just said, "There's no truth to the rumor, and we're just good friends."
You would think so. I just found it very interesting that Rebecca, who, I mean, I don't really know her personal life outside of her professional
I don't want to know.
Yeah,
I have to think with a statement like that in addition to her career being jeopardized, except for masochists and morons, her dating life is probably dried up too.
Oh, Lou went there. Shots fired. It's very, very interesting. Let's see here. Amnuck with the money people are moving the plant overseas. The capital equipment will have to either relocate or starve. It's very interesting, Lou. You do have a lot of productions that are just like, hey, see ya. We're going international. American talent be damned.
Well, they could jump on a plane and go perform there and come home again. That's an issue.
Very true. Very true.
Remember, there's two reasons for hiring an actor. One is that they have talent and will fit the role, and the other is that they have some kind of box office clout. How many had the latter lately?
Yep.
How many can't open a movie? I think, for example, Tulsa King is spectacular, but there's a reason why Stallone isn't making features anymore.
That's a good point.
He couldn't open a movie. So
that's a good point. It's a really good point. And maybe content consumption has just shifted, and perhaps Stallone was ahead of the curve on that. Just recognizing, look, if I can't open a movie and people would go crazy for me to be in a streaming series, might as well go there.
Why not?
Yeah.
Indeed. I'm well paid. I'm well seen. I keep my face in front of people, and if it's any good, it might run a few years.
Changing times, Lou.
And I'll point something else out. I know this is cruel for another old man to say about a lot of these old men in these shows. 8 episodes is a hell of a lot easier than committing to 24 or 30. Remember, that's how those so-called wheel shows began. The Mystery Movie and the others, was that people didn't want to commit to doing 24 episodes, but they'd do 7 or 8. And so they got 3 of them together or 4 of them together, and they made a series. And you had Columbo one week and People in those days, which was Franciosa, and Glenn Howard, and all the other things. And then on one of my, I've mentioned before, obscurely famous shows, Search, which was Hugh O'Brien and Doug McClure and Tony Franciosa. So, they each did 8, and that made 24, and everybody was happy. Show didn't last, but well, you can't have everything.
Can't have everything. Can't have everything indeed. But you, as a viewer, can have everything that Lew has to offer over there at his Patreon. By the way,
yes.
Lew, what will you be talking about in your next upload?
Oh, well, I've got actually 3 in mind. One is about that language inflation we briefly talked about before, with beloved things that have been around for a week and a half. One of them is going to be a guide to what have I been reading lately that's worth your while. And then I'm going to do a little more about politics, because I didn't really finish the subject I started with, the one you can see on the screen there, shutdown, shut-ups, and other silly political games. I'm going to talk about why primary elections are screwed and what I think will fix it. So that's what's immediately coming up. And after that, as the heart may prompt, as they say in the old prayer book, I just get ideas and I work them over in my head, and I do not write anything down. I just talk, just like here, just like all the other shows. And I was convinced that people found it valuable. And so I thought, well, if they find it valuable, they can make my mother happy and pay me $5 a month, which was my joke. My mom said, "You're doing all this stuff. Can't you get paid?" I said, "Oh, come on, Mom. It's not really necessary." Yeah, but. So my mother's 97, and so do an old lady a favor and spend $5 and see what I've got to say.
Hey, love it. Love it. Right there. Go ahead. Throw over some buckaroos.
A Hollywood nostalgia episode, too. Just old stories about some of my many experiences. Expanding on the first one, which was about the game behind the game. I got a lot more to say about that. A lot more.
Oh, how interesting.
And you will find it very valuable in whatever business or job you're in, because you will. So there's 3 or 4 things coming, in addition to the 4, really 5 that are already up. Ooh. And I originally was going to do 3 or 4 a month, but at the rate I'm going, it's going to be a lot more than that, unless travel or illness or something gets in the way. Oh, and this. Oh, this is so much fun. Those of you who haven't listened yet to our Jukebox, what happens when you put serious music over something funny?
Well, it gets much more intense, as this clip actually says. But
some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Anyway,
hearing it, Lew, it definitely brings a completely different dimension and tone to what is, a very campy, easygoing.
Yeah, this is a scene from the feature film that was done between seasons on Batman, where these 4 supervillains join up together, and this is when they realize maybe they are doing so. And Michael's music is much more intense than Nelson Riddle's original.
You definitely got to check this out, folks. If you, all of Lew's picks are great. His jukeboxes are phenomenal.
Oh, speaking of musical picks, by the way, Friday night, we did the Lauren and Apollo show with myself and Lauren and Apollo and Nolan and a couple other people. We all gave our picks for best movie soundtracks. And if you want to go on a journey through the wonderful world of movie music, you should go over there and watch that on the replay. And you'll find that in the show description, there are links to all the clips that we mentioned. So this is our little way of getting around the copyright issue. We let somebody else take the heat. So that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. That was a great show.
Is Pro leaving Lauren and Apollo's up?
I don't know. I assume so.
Maybe
not.
Hope so. Let me just make sure here. Oh no, he is not. So hey, you know what?
You missed it. Shame on you.
Well, this is an opportunity here, Lou, because the best investment that you can make outside of Lou's amazing Patreon is becoming a member at the WW Pro channel, because he's got all kinds of members-only benefits, including the Genre Guys.
Oh, yeah, the Genre Guys. We did our psychology duet this week. We recorded one show about vertigo and one show about high anxiety. And when I made the thumbnail for vertigo says high anxiety, and the one for high anxiety says vertigo, because they're both very different takes on the same crazy, literally, subject. And we got more to come.
Fantastic.
And then I'm always there, almost always on Monday nights on the Pro Show, and then at 3 o'clock on Tuesdays with you after the Pro Show, and of course here.
Fantastic.
So you can't hardly avoid me. But if you didn't want to and you want to see even more, like I say, please become a part of the Patreon. And if you join for free thinking you were getting it all, I'm sorry I didn't explain that enough to have you explain it. But if you can always upgrade from the freebie to the full boat for a big $5 and see everything you're missing. So
awesome. And I think it's $18 a month. So they're even deal.
$5.
Oh, is it? Okay. Because I was looking at the. All right. Well, all right. Okay. Luke.
$5.
All right. Five. Dive for the $5. All right. Very good stuff indeed, for sure. My name is VashSky, as you probably already saw. Anyway, you can find me both on this channel right here, where we produce Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you every single Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern right there. So definitely subscribe for more of the content that you're listening to right now. You can also see Studio Live. That's going to be every single Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern following the Pro Show. Hey, you know what? Just if you're watching the Pro Show, just keep on watching, and you'll be with me, with Lou, actually, with MJ, who's now confirmed to be a regular feature on that. Erica, Nolan, a whole lot more.
Wonderful.
She is great, and she really brings a great perspective to it. But talking about the theme parks and outs and all of that, for more theme park related content, you can find me at That Park Place. That's going to be Morning Magic live stream show every single Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Fun stuff there. Okay, Lou, we have got to get out of here and get on everybody to Prelude Pro Radio. He's got his what do you want to call it? The soothing music mix there. And
yes, inspired by yours truly, who told him I liked soothing when I went to bed and was listening to a Sirius channel like that. He said, I'll make one. And then coming soon, I guess, is his Halloween and then Christmas music too.
Ooh, that's good. The soothing music kind of station right there is my absolute favorite. I actually really do love it. Really, really fantastic. So, hey, definitely give it a listen, because it really does. I have it on when I'm doing editing work or making new thumbnails or whatever, and it really does help me out. So definitely check that out. Keep on listening. The Dish with Ron from Paula Bradley's Fun will continue tomorrow night. So there you go. All right, Lou, let's go ahead and bid our amazing viewers adieu, and we will see you in the grid, maybe, possibly.
A doobie-doobie-doo.
Fair enough. Maybe not. Maybe we'll have to wait another 15 years. Thank you. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.